be with you for a moment so I can feel the presence of all of you, both on Zoom and in person at CCL this morning. I was intending to be there. And most of you know that last Sunday, just as the service began, I was telling you that my stepdaughter, which I'll explain in a moment, had just had her baby. And we were waiting for word, or we weren't sure, whatever. And we did the service and we talked about discipleship. We talked about holding the space and the knowing that all is well all the time, even when there are things moving around in your field that you can feel there's something happening, but you don't know quite what it is. But we have faith and we discipleship. We turn ourselves towards the energy of there is only love, which we just heard, and we just keep singing that beautiful song to ourselves. So we talked about that a lot last Sunday. And as soon as the service was over, I needed to reach out to my daughter's doula, which I did. And as my normal way of being after the service is to come into the room and talk to everyone and get a chance to hug everyone. And I hadn't seen you all in so long, and I was so looking forward to that. But what happened was when I got on the phone with the doula, the information that I was getting was not what I was expecting. And there were some serious concerns about the child that had just been born and some of what was happening for him. And it took my breath away. It took my breath away. And I walked outside and I came back in, and I just wasn't quite able to organize myself around that information. It was such a surprise and such a shock to me. My daughter is strong and healthy and everything had gone right. And that's what we expected, right? We expect those things to happen. And so instead, there were numerous concerns, and there was all sorts of artificial encumbrances that were helping this sweet, beautiful being come alive in the fullness of this life here today. And I turned around, and Reverend Paul was standing there, and he gave me the embrace I needed to remember. It is only love. This is all we talk about. It's only love. And with that discipleship, in that moment, with the blessing of having preached that to you, with the guidance that had come to speak together and to hear you and see you in the space together last week, this beautiful energy walked in, and I was able to begin to release any kinds of fear and doubt and worry and all things that were showing up. And I just decided the only thing there was love, and to encumber and embrace myself in that, to let that permeate every part of me that wanted to go in a million different directions with what could possibly be happening, and that I wasn't there. And as I did that, this other beautiful CCL person, love, came into the room and said, I have a gift for you. It was Mia. And she said, I have a gift for you, and we need to go get it right now. And I said, okay. And it was a wedding gift, and we were so happy to do that. And I just kept breathing into the moment. And as you know, when you have a moment where there's a big change in circumstances, a lot of times your nervous system is just, whew. And so breathing is really important, and opening is really important, and blessing is really important. So I just was stepping outside into the breath, and I could feel myself being pulled back in and wanting to talk to everyone, but just following this guidance that said, keep going. And I got to her car, and what was revealed to me as I pulled the wrapping off this beautiful gift was this gorgeous, very large size, laughing Buddha. A laughing Buddha, the face of which is the face of the child, the beautiful, round, delicious, luscious face of the child. And the message came into my body so fully, the deepest breath. What it takes to arrange for life to happen in the manner that it happened is absolutely mind altering. It's outside of space and time that all of these things would flow in. All of them would flow in those exact moments, in that exact flow of energy, that I would be gifted and gifted and gifted with remembering. Pay attention. The hawk focuses. Look what's here now. Look what's here now. Look what's here now. Not even the thoughts I was having about what happened 1 minute ago, 2 minutes ago, about information that may be changing moment to moment, as it always does. And so from this place, I was able to take that deep breath into faith. All is well, all is well, all is well. I have no information, I have no story, I have no confirmation. All I have is faith. All we have in those moments is faith, because as faith enters us, we enter the moment. We become divine. We become godlike. We become the essence of the energy of love. We release all those things that are sending sirens off inside our body. As Paul tells us at the beginning of every service, I think, well, give that stuff away and try not to pick it up again at the end of the service. Give it away to the moment of pure faith. That what we know is true, that this field is strong and whole and healthy and beautiful. And it is giving us what is in the highest alignment for the highest good of all beings at all times. Not because it's magic, but because that is the essence of how it works. The scientists have caught up and they're beginning to recognize how to explain to us how this happens. All sorts of energies of coherence and magnetism and, in some sense, yada, 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 because we already know. Do we trust our experience that gives us back the sense of grace and peace in the moments where the most outrageous things are happening? Life happens. And as we say about life, it is love already, or a call to return to love, a call to us to press in with love, because as we see it, it is. We give ourselves life, and then life gives ourselves the life back to us that we see. If we're waiting on the sidelines for life to show us, we will not see so clearly. We lift into the air in the altitude, and we focus on the love. We come down to the earth with that energy, and we land here fully on earth as it is in heaven, in the highest realms, in the essence of who we are. There's only one truth of love. And so what I wanted to talk to you about this morning was a transition in my life, and maybe some of you will have seen this in your own. My actual name as a minister in my last incarnation in my other church was Katherine Hope. And I really spent some time with that. And when I left that congregation, I was also leaving the marriage that gave me that name, Katherine Hope. And instead, I was trying something else on. Hope gave me enough to get started. Hope gave me enough to step up into the pulpit. Hope gave me enough to stand in the truth of my learning and what I was touching and what I was growing in and all of that. But I had reached the end of what hope could give me. And I needed to go back and reclaim my roots. I needed to get back into the earth. I needed to go into the indigenous shamanistic earth plane so that I could go down into the experience of being human. In my last incarnation as a minister, I was in the higher realms, and often, possibly, hate to admit, but willing to admit just for you because I love you so much, the spiritual bypass expression of my ministry. I had left my body behind in many ways. I was struggling with some big health issues. As I said, I was coming into owning my truth around what was happening in my personal life. And I was coming into my ministry in a new way. I had come and suddenly been connected with Oneness University and the Diksha practice that I know came into this congregation also, probably somewhere around the same time. I went to Fiji. I got to be in the land with these people who were coming from India. And we got to pray and meditate in the storms and the flow of the pattern of life in Fiji for 14 days. And I came home changed. And I began to learn about faith. And as you can imagine, nothing teaches you about faith like everything going in a direction that you're not expecting. Life unfolding in ways that I would have never expected it to unfold. Changes happening between my children, myself, my family, my living situation, my loves. And over those 10 years, I lost and lost and lost and gained and gained and lost and gained. And I wasn't always aware that I was on a path of faith. I certainly wasn't always aware. But as I look back now, I recognize deeply. And last Sunday was the day that it fully came home to me that I have shifted from a life of hope where it was always out in front of me. And I was always waiting for the day that I would see that things were okay, to a life that is firmly grounded. The only way I could come to you, the only way I could hear the call, the only way that this was going to ever work was if I could stand firmly in my faith that the call I was hearing was the call that was for me. I don't know why. I have no idea why my family, everything is just uprooted and falling into place in New Jersey now. I have no idea why these things happen. I have no idea why. Once I made a commitment to be in New Jersey for 6 weeks, I was suddenly called back to California. I know I was called back to California. I know it created chaos. I know that this opportunity to be with you this morning on this screen was created out of whatever necessity this created. I needed to be in the field with my daughter. Her son was born into a field where her life is shifting. This baby, this child is the essence of faith. Every message that came from this family and every message that was received were messages of love. The seeing, the vision of the hawk was the vision of love. This child was moving through this time and staying in this incarnation day by day by day. We saw him begin his journey, choosing, 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 choosing. And as his father said, choosing the slow and steady path, inviting us to see him in his own space. He, every single day this week, he has stepped more fully into his life. He is, do you see that he is a messenger? For me to see the power of the faith that I can hold, this field that I can hold, that all is well when everything in my earthly life is shaking. Do you see how that is held for you? Do you see that once we hold this hawk-like focused vision on our prey, so to speak, we'll spell it differently, right? Pray. On our prayer, that we are transformed and the child is entered into a world worthy of seeing him as he is. Holy, manifest God, love, beauty, power, choice, peace. We gathered in the space around this child. Now, it is post-COVID and hospitals do not allow gathering. They don't really much allow visiting. And so, mostly, this was done in the field around. We have faith that this field does not need us to shift our perception, except to see clearly. We can show up in the world wherever we are called. The serious and critical component of this is clarity of vision and clarity of heart. To listen to the call. What is the higher and deeper message that could be possibly calling me? And how will I be supported in holding that? As I called the airlines to find out how could I add a quick round trip to California and change all our tickets and make it all work. Not only did it work, but somehow in the whole reorganization of all of the flights and the miles and the money, we got refunded money. And still I was able to come here and be with, in community, as I am with you. We shift the ground and the background, the foreground and the background shift, but we are always present to one another. We are always here, and we shift hope into faith. We shift this sort of idea that someday we'll be shown, which is definitely the first step and definitely needed, into the full embodiment of faith where we stand in the knowing always and forever that all is well. And we create from this space we are at cause in the matter of our life, that this life, this beautiful child is moving towards us as we hold in faith and love. You too have miracles in your life. We have faith and we claim them. We claim them today. We claim them as the offspring of prayer and faith. We have stepped into a new realm. We have been born again and rebirthed into this community. I was given the support of a sutra this week through Anne Blanchard, another member of our community who met me online in the weekly prayers where I was finding truth this week. And she reminded me of the sutra, that the oceans, that all is embraced in love. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And in this sutra, we are present to the rebirth and the birth of love in every moment. This is our life. This is the life in faith. This is the great joy that holds our grief. This is the moment when the tears are streaming down my face because some part of me is grieving and some other part of me is drawing forth this experience of joy. I couldn't possibly explain it to you, though I know many, many of you know what I mean. Oh, grief, oh, joy, come together so that my heart doesn't break. I call in joy. I call in all of the capacities of love. And I see lifted on high this beautiful, emanating, shining, loving little boy. Seamus James. And his middle name is willing. He is willing to be received in a world of love. We turn our willingness. We come from hope and we turn it to willingness. Then we turn it to honor. Then we turn it to privilege to walk in faith and be given all the gifts of love that we are embodying today. Feel within you, feel them, and let's call them out. The gifts of love are kindness, compassion, care. You can put them in the chat if you're online. You can say them out loud in the congregation. Own the gifts of faith, of holding the vision of love in the field of oneness. We are one. I am you, you are me. You are all my daughter, and she is you today. And we are all Seamus James as we step into the willingness to love and to be love. We are one in the field of this powerful consciousness. It is passionate. It is strength. What is it for you? Say the words. It is boldness. Speak.
Joy. Truth.
Courage.
Understanding.
It's in your voice. It's in your heart.
Clarity.
It's in your soul.
Gratitude.
It's in your mind.
Charity.
It is in your breath. And it is together. Keep going.
Forgiveness. Enthusiasm.
Kindness.
Sympathy.
Appreciation.
Keep going.
Understanding.
Feel it.
Courage.
It tingles. It blesses you.
Palpable.
It knows you. It is you.
Rushing it.
Trust.
Trust.
Beauty.
Beauty. Hey, I can hear some.
Wonder.
Grace.
Stillness.
Grace. In the great orchestration of life, you are playing your instrument. And we are all the orchestra, one with the orchestra of love. Nothing outside it. You, those of you who knew and those of you who did not know, who were standing in faith with us as a community who work this passage of love, you created this magnificence and this miracle. Give yourself that knowing. In the words of Jesus, the man, as he spoke through his Christ consciousness, Greater works will you do than this with faith, with love. That is the only thing we need to know. Thank you, CCL. Thank you. And so it is. Amen. And so for this moment, we enter into this prayerful space that we are already in, holding this community in such grace and life, knowing that this place right here is the presence of the highest power of love. This is the place where it is right here on earth, this old and brilliant pillar of light is emanating throughout the universe, throughout this world, touching every space, every place, every member of this congregation, all their families and friends, but everything, all those that we think of as perhaps not connected, who are in any kind of suffering or pain or worry or doubt, any kind of this. We let our hands reach out, let your mind expand to all those you know and don't know. Reach out past these boundaries, reach out to all the places where there is any suffering under our feet and in the air around us, in the waters, in the great lands, in the hearts of every people, in every beingness. Wherever there is a loss of connection to love, we send it to them as the powerful community that we are, in the full realization that love is in and through us power, and that we are that power. We empower ourselves and the rest of this glorious universe, this planet where we are finding our way and bumping against all sorts of things each day. Call it all love and good. With faith, we see together. It is the realigning that we are in, the great realigning of the universe of love to itself. And it will do that. And we are right here in the center, quietly standing, watching the wildness of the drama and the world spin around us. We are fully here in love. We are centered in the center of the universe, in the place of peace, holiness, love, and all the beautiful words that each of you called out this morning, and more and more and more of the names of God, as it is these very energies. And we are so grateful for this remembering, for the being those who have touched this and who are remembering. And as we spread this, we just spread it through the wink of an eye and the open heart that we carry back into the world. We plant these seeds of love in the field, knowing that all is birthed, all is joined, and all is carried in this. In the peace of every moment, never knowing the outcome, we know that we are blessed for the highest good of all. And so it is. Thank you for receiving me amongst you in this way this morning. And I will be back on Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you. So it is.